Hello, I'm coming to you again with a Voices from the Chicago Grave update. Again, this is Voices from the Chicago Graves, the book on Chicago ghost stories which I wrote. And this will be the last one before the next edition of the book comes out this October. Anyway, to update, since last time, there is now a plaque at the site of the Eastland disaster. Pretty much all the books talk about how this really important event went down, this tragic event. And there's no plaque commemorating it because it was stolen years ago. Well, now there is a really nice display, almost museum-like display, and a plaque that is at the site, and here are some pictures that I took this past summer. Fairmont Cemetery, for a while I had information about the kind of well-known haunted mausoleum that's at the top of the hill at Fairmont Cemetery was gone. I wasn't quite sure why. But thanks to the website theunexplainedworld.com, here are some pictures that they've posted where obviously there was some vandalism that took place and the mausoleum was taken down after that. The Red Lion Pub, I was there in April. To my surprise, the Red Lion Pub was still standing, although it's been scheduled to be torn down for a while now. If anybody has any information on when exactly that's going to be destroyed, let me know. The pub will be rebuilt on the same exact site, but if anybody's been in there in the last year, you could see that it's really going downhill quickly. The floor on the first floor is very, very warped to the point that it's structurally unsound. A place that is not standing anymore is the House of Crosses, which I talk about in Chapter 1. There's a lot of really good information on this at the website for Weird Illinois, which I'll post on this graphic right here. Now, a question mark is the place called Tito on the Edge. It's a really, really interesting story in my book about this bar restaurant that was originally a funeral home. I've heard a lot of talk that it is out of business, that it's a vacant building now. If anybody knows anything, post it in the comments right down here. On YouTube specifically. I know these videos get thrown everywhere now, but it's originally on YouTube, so find youtube.com/slimpictures.dot.com. Put the comments there because that's the place where I'm going to see it. I also talked to somebody who works at the Museum of Science and Industry, and they said that there's a lot more than just the ghost of Clarence Darrow that is seen out behind the building. So if anybody else has any science and industry ghost stories, let me know. Very important update for Robinson Woods, and I had someone just recently on YouTube send me a message asking for more information. They wanted to research it. First off, I hope to do a video pretty soon specifically on Robinson Woods. There's a lot going down with it right now, but there's also a book coming out that I'm not writing, so I don't want to give any information out without the author being involved. One thing I will say though is that it has been erroneously reported where the bodies of the Peterson-Schuessler murders were dumped. It's quite often said that it's around the same site of the Indian burial ground, but it's actually in an entirely different section, not even in the same city block as that. Here, thanks to Google Maps, you can see this is where the Robinson family Indian burial ground is, but down here is actually where the bodies were found. So the hauntings I would now say are 100% related to Native American spirits, not the murders of these young boys. Now to answer a couple of questions that have been submitted over the last year or so, one of them was what do I do at my speeches? Because I do give speeches all over the place. Generally it ends up being at libraries and places like that, bookstores. And my speeches are always different. I tailor my speeches to the event, to the location I'm at. For example, I gave a speech at a church once, and in the speech I really made it specific to ghost stories related to places of worship. I also make my speeches specific to where I'm speaking. If I happen to be talking downtown, I'll talk about the Excalibur nightclub and the Eastland disaster and the Iroquois Theater fire, a lot of local sites. If I'm speaking up in the northern suburbs, I'll talk about the Stickney House, the Gate in Libertyville, and again, places that are location specific. Now there have been one or two questions that they simply are questions, but they can almost be construed as complaints, wondering if my posting of videos such as this and writing the book tend to attract the wrong type of people to these sites. And to tend to lead towards vandalism at cemeteries, which is something that stupidly goes on. And but these questions have been written so tactfully that I know they're not an attack, so I do appreciate that big time. And that is obviously something that I'm concerned with, because I'm on your side. I'm all about preservation, and that's something I really enjoy about my book, is that I was able to visit a lot of these places, like I was talking about, that have since been torn down, and really preserve them in book form, in video, in photograph. So obviously I don't want to be drawing the wrong type of attention to these places. But to address specifically your concern about cemeteries, and white cemetery tends to be the one people ask about. I don't believe, and if I didn't believe this, I wouldn't be doing this. I don't believe that these videos that I put up there bring the wrong type of people, because I think the people that actually go through and they read the books and they do the research such as this, I don't think they're the same type of people that are just blindly going out there and disrespecting the places. They have the respect enough to learn about it first. There was another person that asked why in general do I do this? Because they had negative feelings about exactly what this is that I'm doing, the books and the website. And it really is a preservation thing, and it is also entertainment, obviously. These stories are very fascinating, and I myself got into history through ghost stories. Now I'm a history buff. It doesn't have to be a ghost story anymore, but ghost stories are fascinating on their own. But once you actually find out what the background is, what the very exciting, very real story is behind the ghost story that isn't the ghost story, but the history behind it, that's what makes ghost stories interesting. So I find it kind of an interesting way, especially with the popularity of ghost stories ever since the Blair Witch Project. I think it's a really fun way to get people that might not be interested in history. And I know some people have a problem with that, thinking you don't need to spice up history. And again, I agree. I can just point to the History Channel right now. It is summer 2008. The next Indiana Jones movie is about to come out, and they're doing a bunch of stuff on archaeology, and specifically tying in the Indiana Jones movie to it. With the tie into the movie, it gets people involved and it gets people interested. So I really, I think it's a very good, positive way to get people involved in history.